What is up, everybody? Good afternoon. It is time for your weekly Seattle Seahawk recommended rooting guide. And here we are in week number 8 of the NFL season, and we're starting to get a really good idea of how things are shaping up for the entire league. Everybody's played enough games for us to have a decent idea of who everyone is. And with that comes the ability to really dig in and figure out who you're rooting for in every single game. So let's go through the schedule here, starting with tonight's game in a few hours, Thursday Night Football. We got the Buccaneers at the Bills. This one's easy. As of right now, the Bucs are in the playoffs, and we need them to not be in the playoffs. And I don't think they will be by the end of the year, but yeah, if they go on the road and beat Buffalo, that's a statement. That's a big statement. So we need the Bills to come through for us, which I have a good degree of confidence that they will, but they got to go out there and actually do it, push the Buccaneers down. At a certain point, I could believe that this Buccaneers team would just completely fall off the face of the earth, and maybe in a month we're not even thinking about them as a threat. But until it happens, we got to continue to actually monitor it and hope that it actually does happen first. So yeah, big Bills fans tonight, no problem there. Sunday, jumping ahead, we got a slew of 10 a.m. games, a lot of which do matter. Rams Cowboys is actually really interesting because you could make an argument either way that I think would be coherent. But at this point, after the Cowboys beat the Chargers on what was it, Monday night a couple weeks ago, I think that was their pivotal game. I think that was the game that signaled they're a playoff team. They're probably not a division winning team. They're probably not a team that is going to make some kind of deep run, but they are good enough to make the playoffs. And I kind of feel like even if they lose this game, they're going to scrape together enough wins to get in. So, under the assumption that the Cowboys are likely playoff bound no matter what, which admittedly, it's a little early to say that, but with that in my back pocket, I definitely think it's more crucial for us to get the Rams to go away. We need the Rams to go away. If they lose this game, they're 3-5. They're really starting to fade away in the NFC. And at a certain point, they still got another game against the Niners. They got to play us again, so we have a chance to control our own destiny here somewhat. So right then and there, you've already got to 7 losses just off the top of my head. They're going to have to play other tough games as well. Like I think they still have to play the Ravens. They still have to play, I think, the Browns. And boom, suddenly they're basically out of the playoffs at that point. That's 9 losses if they lose all those games. And I think that's a little more important than pushing the Cowboys out of the wild card race right now. So I'm going to say we want the Cowboys to win. But again, you could make an argument the other way. It's possible that the Rams are a team that is going to go away on their own. They are starting to lose some players. They've already traded a couple of non-trivial pieces of their offense with the Cam Akers and Van Jefferson. So you could definitely argue that, hey, if the Cowboys lose this game, that makes up for them beating the Chargers, and suddenly them missing the playoffs is right back on the menu because of their hard schedule. So that's a tough one, but I'm going to say Cowboys are the team to pull for this time. We got Vikings Packers next. The Vikings look much better to me right now than the Packers. The Packers, I think you could make a decent argument they are among the worst teams in the league, even though their record doesn't necessarily suggest that. That looks like a bad team to me. So I'm going to say we want them to win, and we're going to assume that they'll take care of themselves later. The Vikings are back from the dead, and if they win this game, they're right in the mix. If they win this game, they might actually be in the playoffs at the end of the week. So if we could start throwing some dirt back on the Vikings, I think that would be the optimal situation. It's not a terrible outcome if the Packers lose because that basically buries them, losing another home game to a division rival. But I definitely think the better outcome is for the Packers to pull it out. Falcons Titans. This is a low-key big one. And obviously the Titans are starting to rip it down. Would have liked them to maybe wait an extra week to do it, but it is what it is. We got what we got. So Falcons, Titans. We obviously want the Titans to find a way. Falcons. These are the kinds of games I'm talking about where we need some happy accidents. That's why it was such a bummer that Tampa Bay couldn't find a way to win that game last week when Ritter fumbled, what was it, 3 times in the red zone? So I'm definitely sitting here thinking the Falcons are just not going to go away. They're too fundamentally sound and their schedule is too soft. And I'm thinking they need to find a way to lose stupid games like this game against Tennessee on the road, which is certainly within the realm of possibility. And it it's certainly still on the table. Hopefully the Titans don't trade Derrick Henry before this game kicks off, I guess. Next 10 a.m. game would be Saints Colts. This is another big one, actually. The Saints, with that third round pick that we have of theirs, they need to continue to lose. And as a fringe playoff contender in the NFC, we need them to continue to lose as well. So definitely going to be hoping the Colts find a way, hoping for Gardner Minshew to find a way to pull it out. But I if the Saints lose this game, then they're going to really start to fall out of it, I think, because they've still got some semi difficult games coming up. I don't think their schedule is as soft as the other teams in the division, and it's going to start getting away from them very quickly here. So if the Colts can help us out, that'd be beautiful. Next up, we got Patriots Dolphins. The only angle that I can come up with on this game is if the Patriots keep losing, they're going to have a really high pick. If the Patriots have a really high pick, that reduces the odds that a NFC West team like the Cardinals has a really high pick. And it also keeps the really high pick out of the NFC period. Teams like the Bears, teams like like I said, the Cardinals, those teams are giants, teams that are bottom feeders in the NFC right now. We don't want them picking so high that they can get a super blue chipper like a Caleb Williams or a Brock Bowers or a Olu Fashanu. If you want to think about things along those lines, we'd prefer those players stay in the AFC. Obviously, we'd rather have them go to a team like the Bears than a team like the Cardinals, but if we can pick, let them go to a team that we barely ever play. Let them go to the Patriots. So I think we want the Dolphins to win just to keep the Patriots losing. Jets Giants, I think, is the same idea. I know it's AFC on NFC, but honestly, that doesn't matter that much anymore because the Giants are pretty bad, and I don't think they're going to be able to dig themselves out of the hole. But on that level, I guess we may as well root for the AFC team to handle business because the Jets being good or bad has no effect on us. And again, while we'd prefer that the blue chip picks stay away from the NFC period, much better that Caleb or whoever goes to the Giants than the Cardinals. So yeah, we are Jets fans in that game for sure. Still in the 10 a.m. slot, we got Jaguars at Steelers. And the only angle this game matters from is strength of schedule. We play the Steelers this year, so we want them to be as good as possible. So we want the Steelers to win. And other than that, this game, it's AFC on AFC violence. Neither team is bad enough to get a blue chip pick. It doesn't really matter that much. Eagles, Commanders, this is a tough one. This is an interesting one. It depends on how you feel about these Seahawks and their ability to compete for a top seed. Um, if you believe the Seahawks can win their division and compete with the Eagles for the top seed in the NFC, you obviously want them to lose. If you're aiming a little bit lower and you just want to get rid of these NFC wildcard stragglers, then you're going to want the Commanders to lose because they're still straggling. Now, you could make an argument the Commanders are not any good. They're obviously, 1-4 in their last 5 games. They started out well. They're not playing well now at all, and they're probably going to trade some pieces before the deadline to get even worse. And you could say, hey, let's hope they win this game, and then they're going to lose other games down the line, and eventually it's just going to handle itself, basically. So I'm going to say we actually want the Commanders to win this game, but it's pretty dang tight here. So could go either way there. If you disagree and think we want the Eagles to win, I would not blame you. But I'm going to say the Commanders will lose games down the stretch anyway that take them out of contention. So let them knock the Eagles down a notch and maybe give us a chance down the line. Final 10 a.m. game will be Texans Panthers. This is easy. We are Texans fans the rest of the way, no doubt about it. The better they do, the worse the pick the Cardinals get from them is. That's a big deal. Like the fact that the Texans are competent this year, the fact that they're winning games is a lifesaver. I'm thrilled about that. So, yeah, we are Texans fans big time in this game, no doubt about it. And that gets us to the afternoon slate. There are just 3 non-Seahawks games. We got Chiefs Broncos. Um The only angle now, there are two angles actually. We want the Broncos to lose this game. We want the Chiefs to win for two reasons. One, the third round pick. While I do believe it's going to be the Saints' third round pick that we get, the Broncos are still in play technically. So if they can keep losing, it helps a little bit in that regard. It makes that third round pick a little bit juicier the more they lose. And second, we want the Broncos to be picking as high as possible so they keep the blue chippers away from the NFC. So the Broncos ending up with the Caleb Williams pick or the Olu Fashanu pick or Brock Bowers pick or whatever it ends up being, Drake May, whoever you want to say, that's pretty valuable too. So we definitely want the Chiefs to win that game. Ravens Cardinals, obviously at this point, there's nothing to worry about with regards to the Cardinals being any kind of a playoff contender or a wild card contender. So I'm not really worried about that. I just want the Ravens to pile up wins before we play them to put them in a situation where they're not the need is for them to win is not so pressing. Let me put it that way. So I'm gonna say that we want the Ravens to win, even though they're the oh well, actually, excuse me, with them being the AFC team, even though that doesn't actually matter here because the Cardinals are the Cardinals. We just want the Ravens to be 6-2 before they play us. It changes the dynamic of that game a little bit. Whereas if they lose to the Cardinals right before they play us, they're going to be mad. And I don't know if I want to deal with a mad Ravens team. Next one, final early afternoon game is a big one. Bengals 49ers. And it sounds like we're not getting Brock Purdy. It sounds like Brock Purdy's going to be watching Sam Darnold take snaps at quarterback. The Bengals, I mean, they got to keep going. I know they're on a little bit of a winning streak. I know they got their groove back the last two games they played, but you look at their division, they've got a ton of work to do, so they need this win, and we could sure as heck use them getting the win. It's in San Fran. San Fran's defense is still intimidating, although not as intimidating as it used to be. The Bengals have some issues still that are a little bit covered up by the last couple games with Joe Burrow being back. Very interesting matchup here, and we are definitely huge Bengals fans this week. And I'll tell you, if the 49ers go into the trade deadline on a three-game losing streak, there could be some real pandemonium. There could be some utter chaos with that team. And there already kind of is with just a two-game losing streak. But yeah, if the Bengals could do us a solid here, get above 500 and take care of the Niners, that would go a long way in making up for the fact that they beat us. In fact, at that point, they will have beaten every team in our division. So all's well that ends well. All of their wins will be against NFC West teams. Get it done. Bears, Chargers. I guess Chargers, just because the Bears are NFC and Chargers are. I mean, let's not be silly here. It's not like that matters, right? The Bears are not going on a playoff run here, even if they win this game, like I said last week. But I don't think there's any reason to root for anything else unless you want the Chargers to salary dump Khalil Mack to us. I guess then maybe you want the Chargers to lose, but I mean, that's unlikely anyway, even if they do lose. And then it's unlikely you would be in on it. So I guess we just want the Chargers to win. And then Raiders Lions, this is a slam dunk. Want the Raiders to find a way to win. Very unlikely with the Lions coming off an embarrassing loss, but if the Raiders want to help us out here, sure would be appreciated. Push the Lions down another notch. Maybe put us in a situation where we end up with the same record at the end of the year. Both of us win the division and we own the tiebreaker because of head to head. All right, that's your rooting guide for the week. A lot of good matchups, a lot of interesting things going on this time around across the NFL, and pretty much every game has some level of interest for the Seahawks. All right, see you guys later. More videos coming down the pipe. Go Hawks, and that's my rooting guide for week number 8.